Hello, I'm Lauren Rouse and I'm a C5 incomplete tetraplegic. I had my injury at the age of 13 years old on the 2nd of the 2nd in 2012. I had a rare neurological disease called transverse myelitis, which affects every one person in 6 million. It's where your antibodies attack your spinal cord and it attacks all my cervical part of my spinal cord. I get treatment from Stoke Mandeville for all my spinal issues, such as rehabilitation, any other kind of wheelchair or splints that I need can be done locally, but it's all in Stoke Mandeville. I get all my medical, all my treatment. I have to have ongoing treatment sometimes to try and kind of reboost my immune system, and I also involved in a research project to do with transverse myelitis because it is such a rare disease. The actual main centre in the world for transverse myelitis is in Birmingham and the Children's Hospital, and that's where I was treated initially, and then I got transferred into Stoke Mandeville. So I work closely with the Birmingham Children's Hospital trying to find what causes transverse myelitis and also how they can treat it. How has my spinal cord injury affected the way that my body functions? Well, I cannot move. I have no sensation from my chest down. I can't move from my belly button down. I have hand impairments, tricep impairments. Because I'm incomplete, it works in different ways. So because you see in a normal C5, they'd either be a power chair user or they'd have severe hand impairments, and it's a bit different with me because of my illness as well. It makes me incomplete, and therefore I can sit up on my own, and I'm a lot more independent than you would normally see in a normal tetraplegic. Backup has definitely been one to help me with my disability, and coming from, I was aged 13 when it happened and now 15, so I've been working with backup for a year and a half now, and when I first got involved with backup, that just made me think, wow, like how can an organisation like that just change your life and change your view on disability so much? Because I was so negative towards it at first. Like when I got told I'd never walk, it was a hard thing, and you just think, well, what am I going to do in my life? You know, I used to run. I used to run for county, and then I went from literally in the space of 12 hours I could walk and then I couldn't walk. And I think a supportive network around you, such as backup and especially my friends and my family, definitely helped me through that and helped me come to terms with that and how I would move on from that and how I would move on with my life really. How has my spinal cord injury made it difficult to do daily activities? During my rehab, who made my difference? So on a day-to-day basis, obviously getting around is a big issue. I had to have my whole house adapted for me, lift put in, wet room, a ramp, everything had to be changed for me. Also the location of where I go to school is very important. Obviously me being in my last year of school now, I'm looking for colleges and sixth forms that will be able to support my needs, and it also is really accessible. And obviously you don't find that everywhere, so you really have to be careful in where you go. So it does hinder day-to-day activities, but other than that, I don't see myself as disabled, and I don't see if there's an issue, you should just get over it. If you have to do it in a different way, you just do it. There's no. I don't believe that you should be treated just because you're in a wheelchair. I don't believe you should be treated any differently. And I think that's what backup teaches, that you shouldn't be treated differently to anybody else, no matter what your disability is and how high it is. That if there's an obstacle there, you should get over it in whatever way you can. My rehab is massive. I went from being able to move nothing from my neck down to now being fully independent. And it's took 2 years. But I believe that if you put hard work in, it will definitely come back out, and I think that's what they teach in rehab, just for you to be independent, and Stoke Mandeville is the perfect place to do that. I think within my rehab, maybe I could have been maybe transitioned a bit better into kind of the outside world, like what it was like to go back home, because it was all really accessible at the hospital, and you're kind of in your own little bubble. You go home for the weekends and it would be completely life changing. You'd go home, but I think that's where backup comes in. Like when they come and do wheelchair skill sessions, they take you outside. They don't just keep you inside. They take you outside, and that's definitely, I learnt many valuable lessons off that, and that helped me really reintegrate back into home. What problems do I face being involved in the same things as my friends, both in and out of school? And what other support would you like to make this easier? When I went back to school, obviously I went back to the same school, but it wasn't straightforward because they didn't know me, and I'd only been there less than a year, and I missed a whole school year. So I was going back in a really important time in my life of GCSEs, and yeah, backup just made that integration really smooth for me. So they came into my school, they did an assembly, and people weren't understanding it at first, and I think that's where backup kind of opened people's eyes to that. Just because I was in a chair, all you have to do is hold doors open, or you just pick up something off the floor. But I think backup were there just to help me whenever I needed them. I could call them up and say, look, would you be able to come into school? And they'd do it. They'd arrange to come into school and speak to people, and it's definitely been smoother since then. And now I really enjoy school, and it's just like I've been back at school before. What advice would I give to professionals working with young people with spinal cord injuries to make sure that the young people achieve their full potential? I'd definitely give the advice that just treat every young person with spinal cord injury exactly the same as you treat any other young person. Just because they're in a chair doesn't mean to say that they're any different from anybody else. And I think that's how we want to be treated. As young people, we want to be treated like everybody else, not because we're in a chair. And yes, sometimes we might not speak up and say, well, can we have some help here? But definitely, don't just tumble around them, and I think just treat them the same as everybody else. If they've got issues or anything, then you can approach them if you feel that you can help in any way. But they're just the same as everybody else. And I'd definitely say, and help them in any way they want. Like if they've got an issue, like say at school, or they want to find a sports club or a club to do within school, you make that accessible. You make that known that they are welcome anywhere. And that's what I felt like good with school. They did open up a lot of opportunities for me, and so I give advice to professionals, and I'd say just treat them the same. That's all I'd say. Thank you.